Welcome into this edition of the Volling Out Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan, here with my co-host, Swanny. How you doing tonight, brother?
Good, man. Little bummed out. We got to give a good rest in power to Orenthal James Simpson, who passed away last night.
Oh man, I'm glad you brought that up. Heisman Trophy winners don't kill their wives. Just kidding. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't know.
He never admitted that he did it, so we'll never know. We'll never know what really happened. But I will say this: Heaven's team got a lot better today.
The juice is loose, and you know what? I bet his new book drops tomorrow. Yeah, I did it.
Yeah, dude, wouldn't that be something?
That would be wild. It wouldn't surprise me.
The memoir.
Orenthal James Simpson, the memoir. Jesus, dude. All right, man. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the transfer portal. Vols have taken some hits in it, but sounds like they've got some potential to make up some good ground too. You just never do know. We're going to talk a little bit about the Basevols. We're going to talk a little bit about spring football. We're also going to talk a little bit about Kentucky and the coaching hire because that seems to be all of a sudden moving pretty fast. So you ready to dive into this, brother?
Let's get it.
Man, okay. So far, we know at least 3 for sure we're losing to graduation. Triple J, Santi, DK. Obviously, DK is going to hurt the most.
Yep.
Triple J, I would call those other two the veteran locker room presence after this year. That's going to be hard to replace. But we've got Freddie DeLeon, who is my favorite name to say out of everybody in the transfer portal, just because it's fun. He hit the portal. DJ Jefferson, he hit the portal. Jonas Adu and Tobe Awaka. That leaves us with one big man at the moment, JP Estrella. That's seen any significant time.
If I'm not mistaken, he was a freshman, right?
Yes, thankfully.
That's a good thing.
So
I was listening back to the last episode, and we had mentioned DeLeon, and when he came in, I'm thinking that was the 2021 season when we weren't very good and we needed some offense, and that was his ordeal.
Yeah,
and that's why that's what really sticks out to me about his career was the excitement of, oh, we've got somebody now, like he comes in mid-season and can give us buckets. I hope it works out for him wherever he ends up.
I do too. Okay, so
that's not what's important right now.
No, it's not. It's not. It's like kind of like Cal said. He's like, I come into Arkansas, had a talk with the team. There is no team. But like God bless, dude. Everybody and their brother's leaving right now. But it's one of those things. Okay, so like we see it with football. I think it's starting to really kind of take its part in basketball too, because I wonder how many of these guys Rick has been like, hey guys, I don't know how much you're going to see next year on the court. Maybe you are to look at somewhere else. But with DeLeon, I could maybe see that if he's got somebody in his back pocket. DJ Jefferson, dude's athletic, but man, he probably played a handful of minutes this year, maybe 10 minutes all year long at the most.
Yeah, so I don't even remember him. I didn't know who he was before the portal.
I know that. Oh, okay.
Casual.
So I know.
Big casual right here.
That's okay. Because I know that over the summer, they went over and they played in Italy, and everybody left. Over there raving about the kid. Like he's athletic, he's good, this, that, and the other. And then, I think he just spent a lot of time in the doghouse over here, because there was a time he left the team for a little while. He wasn't off the team, but he wasn't around. So I'm sure that kept him in Ricky Dale's doghouse for a while. And then DeLeon, it was just there for a little while mid-season, he was taking minutes from Santi and a couple of other guys. So I don't know. I feel like Freddie may have been one that was told to hit it just because Rick kind of has an idea You know what I mean, of who he might get.
Let's talk about the big two that we're losing, and then a little bit more about Rick.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awaka
ahead.
leaving, that hurts. He was coming off the bench, but he would have got some serious minutes next season.
I think he would have started next year.
I think so too. And then
Adu.
Yeah. That one hurts. That one we kind of had heard it a couple days ago, I guess, that it was there was potential for that.
It was floating around. Honestly, though, call me crazy, but man, the way he played down the stretch, I would rather Adu go as opposed to Awaka.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the way they played in that very last game, certainly, but I don't think that was anything other than Zach Edey. I can't wait to do a podcast with you where Zach Edey doesn't get brought up.
Me too.
But
me too.
I just don't think any of our bigs were a match for him. I know Estrella played well against him. Awaka played decent against him, and Adu was a no-show. But come on.
So the reason I say that is it seems like anytime Adu was up against a guy that had some bulk and played physical, he was weak as puppy piss, man. Like,
yeah,
would get pushed around, didn't do much, couldn't score. He played intimidated against Edey. Of course, I get that. Everybody's going to play intimidated against a dude that's 7'4" and can send you to the cheap seats. But at what point are you like, you know what? I played this dude once this year. I know his game. I know it was at the beginning of the year, but how are you not more physical being that size, man? Like, how are you not more physical and saying, I'm not going to get pushed around? He got pushed around a lot this year.
And that's where Awaka comes in, right?
Right.
He was definitely a more physical player.
Yes. I thought he done really well against Edey. And granted, the only real knock I've got on Tobey's game is he is almost too aggressive. And that's not a bad thing. Not a bad thing. Just, it's like, okay, so you've got 2 fouls already in the first half. Don't pick up that third before halftime. That seemed to be a big thing for him this year. Jonas, my biggest thing with Jonas was he improved his game tremendously this year. Tremendously. Last year, I wouldn't have give you anything for him. This year, though, it seemed like he come out. He had developed a bit of a mid-range game. I don't want to call it mid-range, but he polished up his outside game a little bit.
They would have been a good 1-2 punch next season. Twin Towers situation.
Yeah.
But in today's game, that's not really relevant. Like I don't think Awaka fits that 4, and I don't think Adu really does either. Like they're probably better one start and one off the bench, and that's probably why Awaka left in the first place.
So I think when Tennessee played both Adu and Awaka at the same time, it was a game changer because it seemed like they both fed off each other to an extent, but that kind of size down low and Tobey's physicality was the difference in that. Adu would come off help side and clean up a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Tobey was the reason it got dirty. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was.
We will miss that.
We will.
I like that. I like that Tennessee is the dirty team.
Oh, well, last year it was FAU saying we play rugby ball, and then this year it was Purdue saying it's a wrestling match. You damn right it's a wrestling match. You better pack a lunch, buddy.
We made Duke cry. It's not hard to do, but we did.
No, that's true. That is true. So here's my thing, though. Now, Adu hitting the portal came out yesterday? officially.
I think it was. I think it was today.
Yeah, or maybe this morning. The
It's been
rumbling started yesterday.
the rumbling started pretty early, and it came to fruition today, I believe. But
Yeah, early today. Early today, it seems like. So
we were ready for it. I think.
I
Well,
think
we
knew.
weren't ready for it, but we had an inkling that it was going to happen.
Yeah, I think we knew. So here's what I've heard now.
There's one more that has not yet entered the portal that I keep hearing might enter the portal.
Who's that?
Meshack.
Okay, so Mama Meshack is an interesting follow on Twitter. She puts stuff out there. She's a good lady, sweet lady. She's always very supportive. I think Jemiah's staying from everything that I can tell. I don't know for sure. Don't have an inside source on it by no means, but she puts a good point of view out there of both sides of the argument. I hope Jemiah stays. I hope he stays.
Yeah.
He's a phenomenal defender. And I think next year he'll have a huge role in our offense. He's always got a huge role in defense. He's a phenomenal defender. But here's where I'm going with this. I've heard just today, though, since the news hit that Adu was hitting the portal, all of a sudden Tobey's not as homesick as he was, and that he's wanting to come back here. So originally it was, well, Tobey says he's homesick. He wants to go back home. They thought he was going to land at St. John's. From what I've heard, it was an NIL thing and playing time. I don't want to throw that out there as factual, but I've seen it more times than once. And now Jonas is gone. There's no going back. I've also heard that those two didn't necessarily, I don't want to say there was tension there, but I've also heard those two have not gotten along.
Right.
Not coincidental that all of a sudden Tobey wants to come back.
So potentially Adu leaving makes Tobey want to come back, which
right.
He can do. He can do. All these guys, I've noticed all these guys are throwing their hat in the NBA ring too.
Right. Well, like, look at Bronny.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. I mean, one way or the other, he's going to go. He's doing whatever.
Look, he's in the transfer portal and in the draft. He's another one of those guys too. So, just a quick thing on him. Like, I think one, if he goes to the NBA, I think some team will draft him for the chance that they get his dad to come play for him.
Sure.
So I think he's going to get drafted higher than he typically would.
Right.
He's a fine player, but he's not great by any stretch.
Right.
Two, if he ends up transferring, I would love to see him in orange.
You know what? That would be insane. But I know you're a Braun guy, and I do not mean this how it sounds. I don't. I really don't, because I'm like you. I'd love to have him here. He's athletic, obviously. He's got the basketball IQ. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Ricky Dale would want the hoopla that comes with him.
Well, okay, but he was, and I didn't follow USC much this year, but was there a lot of hoopla around that program?
Not necessarily, but where I'm going with that is whenever he hit the portal, Braun was like, he's going somewhere that he can win and be the team leader. The team leader. That's the thing. I'm not saying he couldn't do that here.
Why couldn't he be here?
Dude, he averaged 4.5 points at USC.
So?
You and I could do that.
No, I couldn't. There's
okay,
no
2 threes a game, you're good. Whether you shoot 30 or not, you're still hitting your average. So, yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm not saying, hey, Bronny, don't come here. By no means. Do it. Could you imagine Thompson Bowling or the Food City Center now would be absolutely packed out every night?
LeBron James sitting front row?
Right.
I think that's a good thing, ultimately.
Yeah. I mean,
if his kid averages 4 points or not.
Right. I'm not saying no, I don't want him by no means. Don't take it like that. You know yourself. I respect LeBron James' game. He may not be my favorite guy in the world now, but he's a hell of a ball player.
We don't
You
have
can't.
we
can't-
don't have to spend too much more time on Bronny. I just wanted to mention that that's where I'm standing on. If he ends up in the transfer portal and playing college another year, I would love him here.
No, I'm down with that. But back to what we were talking about with Awaka and Adu. Adu and him supposedly don't get along. They thought that was why Awaka was leaving. Or there's been speculation, not they thought. There's been fan speculation because Vol fans like to do that. No, surely not right? No, not us. But now, Adu's hit the portal. Awaka's all of a sudden like, hey, maybe I want to stay here. Because they thought he was going to end up at St. John's. He's from up there. He's from the New York area, whatever. And now it's an NIL and playing time money. It's like playing time thing. It's like, man, you don't think you were going to get playing time anyway? Because everybody's leaving.
Right.
So I hope Tobey stays though.
If Adu's gone, then he'll definitely get playing time.
Right? I mean, my thing with Awaka was I enjoyed watching him play the last, especially in the tournament. He's built for tournament play, I think, because you got to be physical and you got to have good guard play. For the most part in the tournament, we had both. That Texas game, I don't feel like we win that without him, down there beating and banging and getting rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
St. Peter's, man, we could have tried the JV out there and won that game, I think. The way they played.
Yeah.
Creighton, I mean, he had some crucial rebounds in that game. Consistency is the thing with Tobey. He would have a couple good games back to back, and then you're like, okay, maybe he's starting to turn the corner. I felt like at the end of the year, he'd started to really turn that corner. You know what I mean?
That seems like a trend with all of our bigs since in this Rick Barnes era. You're like, okay, this is the difference maker. Who was the guy last year that it was Adu.
It was.
Last year when you and I would talk about it, like, oh, if this Adu guy comes out and does what he just did, we're unbeatable. But he didn't always do that, and that's how we ended up getting beat by Florida Atlantic.
But Dusty mate, man, I don't know though. I feel like that's here also too. One of the things too we'd always talk about was we didn't have that one guy that could take over the game. We got that guy with Dalton Connect.
We did.
And then it was like, okay, well, Tennessee relies too much on him. Well, which is it? Do you want us to rely on somebody like that and get production from everybody else? Or do you want us to just, be consistent with everybody else and score 60 points a game and lose? Which is it?
I would rather have the guy and then to have a secondary guy on the other side. We didn't have that in the tournament.
No,
we did like you said in the last episode. If Zakai performs like if he's up to his season average, we probably won't beat Purdue.
Yes.
But he wasn't, and that's the thing. Like Dalton Connect did what he was supposed to do, and even more than he was supposed to do.
Yes.
Nobody else did what they were supposed to do, or et cetera, et cetera.
With the exception of about maybe 6 games all year long, Dalton done everything you could ask him to do. Everybody else was ho-hum or pedestrian at best. And
those seem to be the games that we lost.
Yes.
South Carolina, and which I thought was a bad loss when it happened. I didn't know South Carolina was. I was unfamiliar with their game. As the kids say.
Considering how we went over there and beat them the second go around, I don't feel like it. I don't feel like we were. I don't know. That was an off night for us, especially in Thompson Bowling. It just was.
Yeah.
But that's how South Carolina likes to play. And if we've seen it all year, though. We've talked about it on this show before. If you can play Tennessee physical, muck it up, take our big men really out of the equation. That's how South Carolina won. That's how Mississippi State won. Purdue, that's how they won. You take the big men out of the equation, and you rely on Dalton, Zakai, Santi, Triple J. Triple J, now I don't want to knock him too much. He had a good tournament, a solid tournament. But you take those guys out of the equation, like the big men, like we were saying, you've got us. We're toast unless Dalton drops 45. And it's just not possible.
Yeah, we've under Rick, we've never been dominant or had a real force in the paint, and that's part of it. And really, in this day and era, that's not what you're looking for, really. Right. But if you got that one guy like Edey or Donovan Clingan,
yeah, the dude from Creighton
for UConn.
No, yeah, okay, Creighton,
the guy
had a good one too. UConn, though, yeah,
the guy who pretty much negated Edey in that championship game.
Dude, that was an impressive showing.
Another thing that UConn did that we didn't do really at all was attack Edey.
Right,
they went after him. That Newton
yes.
was like, I'm going to the rim, whether there's a 7'4" National Player of the Year there or not.
Yeah,
and that made a difference for them.
Yeah, it did, dude.
I'm not saying that we would have beat them by 15, but
we probably would have. Let's be honest.
Get after him.
Well, okay, so like, I get maybe Zakai not going to the rim. Dude's 5'8" at most,
standing on his best day.
On his best day, on a phone book on tiptoes. I get that. Everybody else, though, go at him. Go at him. Like, if he wants to sit down there and camp, let him do it. Another thing, is 3 seconds even a thing now? But no, it's not. But
Zakai's one with all this transfer portal BS. Zakai's one, I think we're safe.
Yeah, I don't think Zakai's not going anywhere. I think, okay, so we'll dive into who we got coming back here in just a few minutes, but we kind of veered off the beaten path here a little bit. Let's jump back to it. Who would be the bigger loss in this, though? Adu or Awaka?
I think it's Adu. He started over him. I think he's the better player. Especially in this day and time and the way the game's played. Awaka's kind of an old school player. He would be good. He would be good as the 5 in an offense on a team that runs and stretches the floor, and your 4 is Dalton Connect ish. Not necessarily that good, but a 4 that stretches, that can shoot. Awaka can't shoot. So Awaka would be a good 5 on that team. But and that's Adu's that's what Adu is as well. They're different. We've talked about how they're different, but they're the same. As in they're good enough to be 5s in college, but not necessarily 4s.
Okay, so I'm going to argue with this. Tobey's only a sophomore. Jonas is what, a junior? Has to be.
Maybe. I don't know.
He's got one more year of development in this. I think we've always seen that, if anything, Barnes is consistent with guys showing their development about year 3. And you started to see it with Tobey towards the end of the year. I'm going to argue that Awaka would be the bigger loss because you still got 2 more years with him. Really and truly, you only got 1 more year of Jonas.
True. Yeah.
I
definitely see that side of it. And if it comes down to keeping one or losing both, yeah, give me Tobe Awaka.
I like the way the kid plays, especially come tournament time. That's really my big draw to him. Because here's the thing, I think we've reached the point in Tennessee basketball where we've realized, okay, more than likely every year we're probably going to be a tournament team.
There's part of me I want that Zach Edey type player.
Sure.
At the 5 so bad. And I know that Adu's not, nobody's that really, but Adu's not that, Awaka's not that, but I want that dominant force down low. To me, just looking at production, Adu, second team All SEC player that you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
To me, that seems like the bigger loss.
Right. But we've also seen more of Jonas. How much?
But I would rather have, if we're I would rather have Awaka than lose both of them.
Right. And then too, we got Estrella. I feel like Estrella will develop and be a good big man. Nobody's going to be Zach Edey good.
He's got a chance to develop. Being this was his freshman year, let's see what the kid's got.
And honestly,
if they're both gone, they're both gone. Let's see the new guy.
And honestly, I feel like he played Edey pretty solid, man. He didn't get pushed around.
No.
I mean, there was a couple of times Edey scored on him, but I mean, it was good defense. It wasn't that Edey just took him to school. The only one that got took to school by Edey was Adu, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked just scared. I mean, I don't know how else to put it.
He was outmatched.
Yeah. And that's my thing. Well, like you look at, those games against Mississippi State, both of those games, even Kentucky, man, Jonas looks shaky. That's my thing. Like Adu, dude, he's ready to square up. It don't matter. I mean, the man got kissed in the Kentucky game. Bradshaw kissed that man on the lips, and he just looked at him like, "Come on, let's go." Like, I'll fight you right now. Yeah. Like, give me that over getting finessed every day. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying give me a grown man, give me a kiss every day. No, I don't want that. Give me that kind of mentality of, hey, let's roll every day, as opposed to Jonas just being like, oh, all right, go ahead. You're bigger than me. Because it seemed like that was what we got a lot whenever we played a guy that was big enough to push Jonas around. I don't know.
Well, wherever he ends up, I know he'll be successful.
Oh yeah,
he is a good player, and I hope he does well somewhere. Whatever team he ends up on, I'll be rooting for them in the tournament next year. Whatever conference he's in.
Sure.
But yeah, do you want to talk about the guys that we could potentially have coming in?
Oh yeah, man. Let's talk about who we've got coming back. We know we got Sky coming back. Cam Carr, kid has a ton of upside. Estrella, we just talked about him. Jordan Gainey, that's one that I'm curious about. When he's shooting the ball and he's shooting good, he's good. But when he was bad, he was bad.
Yeah.
Then
he is very confident in his shot.
Hey,
a little too confident, I thought sometimes. But he hit 2 huge threes in that Purdue game,
right?
That kind of pulled us right back into. It pulled me into feeling like, okay, we're back in this.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Like, you can't. He had a few good games off the bench this year too. I mean, he had a couple of 15-5 games, 18-5. Like,
is his dad still on staff?
He is. He is.
All right.
He ain't going nowhere.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see what happens with him. Let's see if he can shoot if he can shoot consistently.
That's the thing.
Then he'll be big for us next year. Underratedly big.
Absolutely. And then we got Jemiah coming back. I'm excited to see what Meshack can do next year. Like, please God, stay with us though. Stay.
Yeah, that's the big one in the rumor mill that I really don't want to lose.
Yes,
A
yes,
perimeter defender is super important.
yes, and he can do it, dude. He can do it all too. Like he's physical. He's physical down low, but he's at his best
Offense,
outside.
offense is the name of the game now, but you still have to have somebody who can protect the rim. Adu, Awaka, Estrella. We'll
Yeah,
see. And you got to have somebody who can protect the perimeter. Meshack.
absolutely.
We and he's really good at that. So we really need him to stay.
Yes, yes, because outside of those five, Cade Phillips, who the hell is that?
Don't know.
I think he may have seen a handful of minutes. Grant Hurst, walk on? Don't
Don't
know.
know.
Don't know. Like, I'm not dogging those guys. I just don't. I've just
No,
not seen them.
we don't
I know.
know.
I know. I've seen Cade Phillips a time or two, maybe in some in games that have gotten real ugly.
He was a transfer in last year, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to
He
say
was a
you're
portal
right.
guy last year.
So there's that, and then Colin Coyne, walk on. He played in the St. Peter's game. Walk on.
Never even heard of anybody with that last name.
Walk on to another school, bro. But man, I mean, like offensively though, there's not a ton of production coming back.
Yeah, that's not good.
So
That's not a good sign. But you can do so much in the portal. I've not seen. I don't know exactly the rules now, but I've not seen anybody. I've seen so many names enter the portal, but nobody signed yet. Nobody
right,
picked their destination.
right.
So I don't know exactly the rules, but we've lost a lot, but we can still get a lot.
Here's the thing about that portal though, man, because you know how our fan base is. You know how the Tennessee fan base is. And it's not a knock on them, but they're going to expect the next guy that we get out of the portal that's hyped up to be the next Dalton Connect. And it's just like, no, that you're not going to hit that.
You're not,
because
that
the
was
track
a
record
dime.
for that was like a needle in a haystack type deal. It
Yeah.
really was, because the Tennessee track record in the transfer portal, at least for basketball, has not been great.
No.
So that being said, biggest needs of the portal. Who do we get?
Well, we
Who are
need
we
somebody who
after?
can. We need somebody who can score.
Mm-hmm.
Potentially, we need another rim protector.
Yeah.
Those are our biggest needs. I think.
Yes. Well, okay. So we've heard two names come out as far as who's in the portal. Darlington Dubar and Kay Tyson. Both of those would supposedly be huge gets. Dubar, 6'8" from Hofstra, 17.8 a game, 6.8 rebounds, 54% from the field, 40% from three on the year. Solid stat line.
From what I hear, he's pretty much a done deal.
That's what I've seen too.
And he would be a great 4 to a 5 that is a Waka or Adu. Or Estrella, potentially.
Right.
He'd be good for 6'8". Yeah.
He's big.
You got to put him at the 4. Yeah. I think we're getting him this weekend.
Yeah.
Is what I'm
He's on campus this
gathering.
week. Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one on campus. You just mentioned him. Cade Tyson. 6'7". 16 points a game, 6 boards, 47% from 3 is the big thing. We really didn't have anybody that could stroke it. I mean, Connect could, but
Connect was very streaky.
Not at 47%.
No, Connect was very streaky though. Like, and the thing with Dalton was it would always take it. All it took was one shot, and he's red hot. But all it would take is him taking a heat check, and then he goes cold.
Yeah. Now Cade Tyson, he's coming out of Belmont, Nashville, and he's kind of the crown jewel of this transfer portal so far. Like everybody wants him. He's taking visits to Kansas and North Carolina. It's
Duke.
yeah,
Yeah. We're pooing in high cotton if we get him.
buddy. If he goes to Duke, go ahead and put your future. Your go ahead and put
Your
a bet on
futures.
Duke to win it.
Yeah.
2025, because Duke's got a recruiting class coming in. I think
Dynamite.
they've got 3 of the top 5.
Yeah.
So if he ends up there, then we'll have a nice little season over here in Knoxville. But Duke's taking the crown.
Right.
You got a couple more for us?
Okay, so Chase Lanier from North Florida.
Yep.
That's one to maybe keep an eye on.
Another
Don't have his stat line.
Another 3-point shooter. 44%. So not quite 47, but he better than anybody we've got. Shooting threes last year, 20 points a game. He would be a good get.
Yes.
That's one thing that we asked what we were looking for in the portal. I think a 3 shooter would be huge.
Yes.
Because we don't really have one. Because Zakai, Santee, Josiah Jordan James, we really only had one 3-point shooter. And like you said, he was a heat check guy.
Dude.
He was shooting regardless, and that's great. We needed Dalton Connect to shoot.
Right. Yes, absolutely. The other guy might have the holiest name I've ever heard. St. Thomas.
So that's the guy from North Colorado, the same school that we got Connect from.
Yes. And he's gonna be dubbed the next Dalton Connect, whether he comes here or not. I mean, that's the way it is, and it's like you can't put that expectation on him, because what if he comes out and he's a dud? Then you're going to be disappointed. Like, just roll with it.
Well, he's not the same type of player, really, as Connect. He's a forward, 20 points, 10 rebounds a game. That's what he gave Northern Colorado last year, and that's if he gives us 12 and 5.
He's a role player here. Yeah. Like at 12 and 5. Of course, who knows, man. I mean, I remember the conversations we were having last year. We were saying the same thing about Dalton.
Yeah.
So, you just never know what you're going to get. I don't think we're going to have anybody with Connect's work ethic, though, come in. I don't. That was what set Dalton apart from a lot of these guys, was his work ethic. So,
well, just his confidence.
Yes.
I'll shoot. I'll score.
Oh yeah, he didn't hesitate to pull the trigger. There's a couple of guys though on the recruiting trail that we're after. Trent Perry, he's opened up his recruiting again. He was committed to USC. And then Samoto Cyril, I guess that's how you say his last name. Hell, I don't know. He was a UK commit. I'd say a lot of those UK guys that were going there for Cal, probably open season on right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Mean, depending on who they bring in, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. Because
I don't follow recruiting whatsoever, because I was huge into it in 2013 when Butch was here and signing 5-star class after 5-star class. And it amounted to the worst the worst season in Tennessee football history. So I don't really care about recruiting at all. And now that you've got the transfer portal,
it don't matter.
Recruiting don't matter worth a damn.
It really don't, man. Like, it's become okay. So there's a handful of guys in that, and it don't matter the sport. There's a handful of guys though that you're looking at and you're like, okay, if we get them, my recruiting class is a success. And now it's like, okay, well, if I don't get them, I can get somebody just like them with a lower star rating, and then I can go pick and choose from the transfer portal. Hell, look at us, man. Tennessee football has done great in the transfer portal. Tennessee basketball, not so much. I almost feel like, though, those UK guys, those guys, that's where you need to go at right there.
especially in the
So
portal.
yeah, yeah. Because I mean, you
Those,
got
most of those guys got their hat in the NBA ring, but
not
how
all of them
many
are
NBA
going.
players do they really have?
Exactly, exactly. So
You
that
think
could be
Reed? You
interesting.
think Reed Shepard's an NBA player?
He's gonna be bagging my groceries at Food City one night. Hey, that
Well,
baby.
I hope he's bagging our groceries at the Food City Center.
Hell yeah, I'm down with it. Um, but man, it's just like give me a guy out of the transfer portal that'll make a difference in a year. If he wants to leave, so what? That's my thinking of it. I like watching guys develop, but I'm just like, if I can get a guy that's going to win it for me this year, and I'm one piece away, maybe two. Two, it's a stretch though. Like two, you've got to hit dead on with those two. If you're one piece away though, whether it be a role player or a superstar, that's all you need is one guy, especially in basketball. Football,
Well,
don't.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely. We are more than one piece away from being a
we
contender in 2025,
we want
and that's just part of it.
right, right. It's kind of like looking at what we got coming back. Everything we got coming back is young, with the exception of Ziegler and Jemai, if he does
Mhm.
come back. Other than that, it's like, yeah, we need one of everything.
Yeah, we
Almost.
need it all. We need to nail this portal class, and the high school kids can. We'll just have to see how
Because
committed they are to wearing orange.
the thing about it is, it depends on what kind of coach you've got. And I don't feel like Ricky Dell is the guy that's going to be like, all right, like it goes back to Dalton Connect. Dalton come in, he was already pretty good. I think we all kind of established that early. But to see how he took the coaching all year from Rick Barnes and how he developed over the year, I don't think you're going to get that out of every guy you get out of the portal, man.
No, no,
You know,
you're not. You're not. Rick's kind of an old school coach. That's why your Jeffersons and your DeLeons are transferring,
yeah,
for one, and two. I think a lot of these guys know that Rick's not going to be there. He's not going to be here much longer.
that's where I was going.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a high school recruit, there's a reason we've only got one guy signed this year.
Yeah,
There's a reason for it. Rick, we talked about it on here before. He's got maybe another year, maybe two. You're stretching it at 3. I think he's here next year, and then he's gone. Because I'll tell you right now, if they'd have hit the Final Four this year, I think he's done this year.
mm-hmm.
If they win it all, no doubt.
I think if he wasn't going to be here next year, it would have already been a thing. Surely,
yeah, surely, you would think
you don't want to be
you don't want to
behind
mislead
Kentucky.
these
You don't want to be
kids.
behind Kentucky. You don't want to be behind on the transfer portal with our coach about to retire.
Exactly.
So he's I'm about 90% sure he's going to be the coach next year.
Sure. Well, okay, so you can either look at it like that, or you can look at it like he's out here and he's telling these kids, okay, look, I'm not going to be here next year, but the guy that I'm bringing on to be here next year is already on staff. You can look at it like that. There's two ways to do it, but I lean more towards what you're saying as opposed to saying, okay, well, this guy's going to be here next year. It's like, okay, so what? I'm coming to play for you, not this guy.
So with Rick's retirement coming sooner rather than later, we both agree on.
Sure.
Do we do the Lady Vols thing of going Rick Barnes tree, or do we just hand the keys off to his assistant at the time, or do we start new?
What do you think?
With Danny White as the AD,
I think you got to
and
start new.
what he just did with Lady Vols, I think he goes off brand. I think
You almost have to.
So
man.
so the only assistant that I would have been cool with if Rick had retired immediately after that Purdue game, and they said, "Okay, we're going to hand the keys to Rick Barnes' assistant A." The only one I would have been cool with is Kim English. He just signed a 6-year extension at Providence. So Providence, I believe.
Yeah.
So
okay, so I'm gonna counter that though with I'm with you on that. I'm with you on the name. Providence or Tennessee though? Are you staying at Providence or are you coming to Tennessee? Because Tennessee, it don't matter. It's a bigger name.
well, we would have to pay a buyout, right? With that extension that he got.
Oh, I'm sure. But if nothing
Not
else,
that Danny White's not a he's kind of a bargain bin hunter. Do you remember 10 years ago when Dave Hart was here?
Oh hell yeah,
And
I do. That's
he
how
was
we
a
ended up with
bargain bin
Bujo.
guy. He loved getting the cheapest coach he could.
He's like, let's go to the Dollar Tree and find our coach. Come on, guys.
Danny White. Well, okay. So if Dave Hart shopped at Dollar Tree, Danny White shops at Target and looks for the best deal.
Sure,
so we can get him Caldwell, Josh Heupel.
Yep.
You look at his history at Buffalo, Oates, Lance Leopold, who now coaches at Kansas.
Yeah,
he will go for the person who's unproven, but has a good track record and
yes,
but will at least produce. At the very least, we knew Josh Heupel was going to, light the scoreboard up.
He's going to put he goes for who puts asses in seats.
At the very least, we know Kim Caldwell's going to light the scoreboard up.
Yes. I'm with you there.
So I don't know. What would you rather? Would you rather leave Rick Barnes behind if he goes? If he retires? This is, he will go down as the greatest basketball coach we've ever had at Tennessee.
I agree with that. I don't know.
Do you stick with him? Do you say, hey, Rick, who do you think we should hire? Do we follow your footsteps here in this program you've built? Because he's rebuilt it.
Yes,
from what the Pearl aftermath.
Sure.
Do you follow that, or do you go your own way?
Okay, so if he'd been, I'm going to say this: if he'd been here I'll compare him to Philip Fulmer. If he'd been here as long as Phil had, I would argue strongly against staying in that coaching tree, because I think we all know what would have happened if Phil gets fired like he did, and we end up saying, all right, John, Third and Chavis is the head coach. I think we know what would have happened there.
What if they had brought Cutcliffe back though?
I think it would have been.
Remember what he did with Duke though in 2012-ish?
I do, man. But here's the thing though: doing that at Duke is going to keep your job. Doing it here, you're not. Of course, granted, Phil was doing that. Phil was doing that.
We didn't know that at the time.
But
we would have loved Cutcliffe in like 2015.
Oh yeah, but here's the thing. It's just like I was talking with my Kentucky buddy about their upcoming coaching hire with Tennessee football.
We've not even got to that yet, have we?
We've not. We're about to though. With Tennessee football, it's either we want John Gruden or we don't damn want him. That's how they look at that hire. We'll dive into that in a minute. What I'm getting at though is if he's here that long, I think you got to look outside of it. You look at Florida State. I know it's two different sports, but you look at Florida State with Bobby Bowden. They jumped outside that coaching tree. Yeah, they had a bad couple of years, but when you've got a certain guy with a certain program there for so long, it does your program good to get an influx of new blood.
Yeah.
With this one, hear me out here. This might be a hot take. What about Rodney Terry? Get him from Texas. He was part of Rick Barnes.
We would have to accept it, right?
No matter what.
But I could buy myself into it, I'm sure. Like I said on the last pod, I bought into countless idiot football coaches.
Me too.
Uh,
Me too. I would
yeah.
try like hell to sell you on it too, and you'd be
Yeah.
like, sold. But
Well, look, when we
we don't
hired
have a
Heupel,
choice.
when we hired Josh Heupel, the fan base was furious as a whole.
Right.
As a whole, and I thought, oh, Danny White just hired his buddy from UCF.
That's what I thought too.
That's what I thought. But then I was like, okay, let's look at these. Oh, he's 6th nationally in points per game and yards and this and that and the other. I was like, all right, let's just put points on the board.
Let's strap it up and roll.
And so now, and that worked out.
Right,
So,
right.
So it's like, all right, let's just put points on the board. As far as statistically, in overall sports, whatever team scores more points wins.
No.
Yeah, swear to God.
You're shitting me.
And so, I trust Danny White. I trust Danny White with whatever happens post Rick Barnes.
Right.
Whether he goes Rodney Terry or Kim English or somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, his track record's proven enough. I'm gonna bounce back to that Heupel hire real quick though.
Okay.
When he hired him, I may have even told you too. You know what? It's not the sexiest hire we could have made, but what choice do we have?
We weren't the destination job that everybody thought we were at the time. At that time, I'm talking about a job that had been ran through by Derek Dooley and Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt. We're not the 10 we used to be. We're a 6 now.
We were the skinniest kid at fat camp. Let's just call it what it is. No questions asked, But all right, man. So we've talked about everything we could talk about as far as that goes. We talking about this Kentucky coaching search?
This has been the most fun I've had since our last football coaching search, the Heupel hire.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It matters. It pertains to us. This is the biggest news happening in Vol sports is this Kentucky basketball hire.
It really is, man, because it's like, okay, so when we were looking for a football coach, everybody was like, he said no. So now we get to kind of do that.
Mm-hmm.
Nate
watch their melt board or their message boards meltdown.
Yes.
Might as well be melt boards.
Melt boards, that's right. So here's what we do know so far, for sure. Nate Oates has said no. Mm-hmm. Thank God. Scott Drew from Baylor said no. Thank God.
That was kind of their Scott Drew was their fallback from what I'm gathering. Because they went through Hurley and Jay Wright said no publicly.
Yes. Yes.
Nate Oates is like, not, which I told you on the last one. I think that would have been a really good case scenario. As far as Kentucky would be good again, sure. Because Nate Oates is a great coach, hired by Danny White. But it would have made Alabama. Who's Alabama going to get?
Right.
Rodney Terry, Kim English.
I wasn't arguing for it. I was just saying.
But no, it's a good thing that they didn't get Nate Oates.
I would say Scott Drew too, because dude can coach and he can recruit.
Yeah, that would have been not ideal.
The biggest bullet out of all that we dodged was Dan Hurley.
Yeah.
But I'll admire what he said too. He's like, I want to build my modern day dynasty at UConn. Mm-hmm. I can respect that.
Yeah.
Well,
he's doing it right now.
Right.
Back-to-back champs. First time since Florida, Billy Donovan, Joakim Noah, Al Horford.
Yes.
And the second time since John Wooden.
Yeah.
So he's doing his thing up there, man, and they've got a good thing going. I didn't think he would leave for Kentucky. The UConn job is they're in better shape than Kentucky is right now.
Right now, yes, absolutely. Kentucky, I think the transfer portal has hurt a place like Kentucky, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Because for so long, Calipari was one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's like anybody's one and done. It takes a special minded and a long minded coach to keep a kid in his program. Calipari's
Yes.
like, well, I can recruit 5 McDonald's All-Americans this year. They'll be gone next year. I'll just get 4 more. You win by building, not saying, okay, well, I'm going to get these 5 kids. We're going to start, 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores, have 2 freshmen coming off the bench, and we're going to hope we gel come into January, start of February. That's to me, that was the Cal approach. And I'm not knocking him. I think he was a phenomenal ball coach.
It worked for a while.
It did. It did before the transfer portal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. The transfer portal has changed everything.
I think it's gonna work initially at Arkansas.
Yeah, absolutely.
Did you watch his introductory presser?
I seen some of it, heard some of it. I know he was like, what cracked me up though.
Go ahead.
Was I talked to the team? There is no team.
Yeah, yeah. Like that was pretty funny. But he looks rejuvenated.
Yeah.
He looks energized in a way that he wasn't the last 5 years in Kentucky.
Well, I seen a thing on his Twitter the other day where he was talking about him and his wife, and they were like, I think it was more or less him saying, I'm stepping away. I'm going somewhere else. Like, it was a classy thing by him. I still think he's a slime ball. I can't stand him, but he's a phenomenal coach, and he seems like, I know I just called him a slime ball, but he seems like a decent enough person.
Sure.
I mean,
for a slime ball.
That was very backhanded of me, I know. But I'm just saying, like, I can't get past the idea that he was at Kentucky. I'm gonna hate Arkansas now,
Yeah.
But
they're not as big of a problem. Why couldn't he have gone to UCLA or somewhere else?
Yeah. Or FAU. Like whatever. But that was those 3 right there, we've dodged that bullet. And I'm with you. I did see parts of it. He looks rejuvenated. So, and dude, he's got Tyson food money. He's got Walmart money. Dude's playing with house money at Arkansas. Yep.
Yeah.
Like, no,
not like he was at Kentucky, where they're like, hey, why do we keep getting beat in the first round? We won
by Oakland.
Yeah.
So
now back to this Kentucky hire. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
So go ahead.
Well, we made some developments on it, is all I was going to say.
Yeah.
We've learned some new information, man.
I'm edging you on this. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Edging you. That's awful. Okay, so still on the table, but not turned down to our knowledge. Billy Donovan, Bruce Pearl, Lamont Paris, Mark Few, Will Wade, Rick Pitino. All that just to say, by God, boys, we've got our guy, Mark Pope from BYU.
So Billy Donovan can't do anything until the Bulls are done playing.
Yeah.
From I read that today that the Bulls are in the play-in for the Eastern Conference. He can't do anything with Kentucky until that's over with. Which I don't know if any of your listeners watch the NBA. The Bulls are done playing. They're not a contender. Mark Few, if he hasn't left Gonzaga already,
probably not going to.
You mean Mark? How long has Mark Few been at Gonzaga? I'm gonna actually
since the
look
90s.
That up. I was looking something else up, but I'm on.
Hey,
Mark
get off
Few
your
now.
Pornhub.
Hey.
PG-13. Get off the hub.
But then I meant to look up the Patinos, where they're at now. I think Rick. So I last I heard, Rick was at Iona. I think he's at St. John's now.
Let me fire up the Google. Hang on. Let me fire. Well, he's obviously being searched for because he's the top search on the Google.
Mark Few went to Oregon, He was a GA. He was a graduate assistant at Gonzaga in 1989. He was an assistant in 1990, and he's been the head coach since 1999.
Okay.
He's definitely gotten the Kentucky offer before. He's
Right.
gotten the UCLA or the Duke or not Duke, not North Carolina probably, but he's gotten good offers before. That's not. He's never leaving Gonzaga.
Right. Richard Andrew Pitino is the American basketball coach who's the head men's basketball coach at St. John's. He was at Iowa.
Okay, so that's Rick Sr.
Yeah. His boy, hang on. What? Let's just
He's
fire
the
up the
coach.
Google.
Yeah. New
You got it?
Mexico? Head coach of the University of New Mexico's basketball team.
Well, I'll be damned.
Both St. John's wasn't tournament team. New Mexico, that was one of my sleepers. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that Richard Jr. was the coach.
Dick Jr.
Dick Jr.
I called it. So Kentucky, though, kind of to what we were arguing earlier, they went outside of Cal. They were like, they went opposite of the approach I was saying you need to take. They're bringing old new blood back in with Mark Pope because supposedly that's all but a done deal.
Yes, that we've not seen anything official yet. I'm not, at least.
No.
As of 2 hours ago, that was pretty solid.
Yeah. It was rock solid, like blue chew solid.
He was on the 97 or 96 Kentucky squad that won it, not as a coach.
Right.
Currently the coach at BYU, who just got upset by Duquesne. No, I watched their tournament game this year. They were the very first game. They
play a good brand of basketball.
March Madness. I think this is. Go ahead and save this clip. Go ahead and bookmark this tweet. But I think Mark Pope is the best case scenario. If they get past Mark Pope, you get to Bruce Pearl and coaches that we really don't want to see at Kentucky.
Right. Well, so it's like this. I don't know how many tennis, like how invested you've been. I do. I'm just kidding. In those Tennessee football coaching searches. When opponents are saying that's a great hire, it's not a great hire.
Never.
You know what I mean? This might make us eat our words. I was one of the ones that were like, yeah, Kirby Smart. He was a great hire. Yeah, he was a great hire, unfortunately. But,
it could come back to bite us. He could end up being they could rename the arena after him. But
Adolph Pope Arena.
Mark Pope. Let's go.
And Pope we hope. But
never been out of the round of 64.
Ooh.
Mark Pope.
Well then,
which is crazy for Kentucky. Yeah, I said on the last one they could get anybody they wanted. Apparently not.
Right.
Apparently
well,
not.
That's tough, man. That's tough because it's almost like you hate to see him fall that low, but then you're like, just kidding,
Yeah, I'll take Mark Pope over Bruce Pearl for sure. Over, I don't know.
Will Wade was mentioned too.
I would take him over Will Wade.
Absolutely.
Will Wade at Kentucky. The off chance, I would rather Mark Pope be really, really good at Kentucky than Will Wade be really, really good at Kentucky. Because he would be.
Because they're two totally different things.
He would be good at LSU. Well, Will Wade came out of Chattanooga, went to LSU, was really, really good. He cheated his ass off. Now he's at McNeese, who made the tournament and were like a darling 12 seed to upset a 5.
Gonzaga, if I'm not mistaken.
Will Wade at Kentucky would have been super annoying.
Yes. They're already annoying. Most of them are already annoying.
Yeah.
They don't need another reason. They're kind of like Alabama football fans. I said it. I don't care.
They're akin. They are not kin, but they are akin.
Akin. I like it.
Mhm.
Thank you for, in case any Alabama fan listens to this, thank you for differentiating.
You're not kin to Kentucky folks, so
let's keep them out of the bed.
tone it down.
All right.
Down there in Alabama,
So
they are akin.
Akin. I like how you said akin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. So I think we've hashed out the Kentucky hire enough. Let's talk about the Basevols for a couple minutes, and then we'll dive into what we're really here for, or what I'm really here for.
Okay, great.
So the baseball team, they beat Alabama A&M 20-2.
Hell yeah,
20-2.
That's good.
In 7.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping the sticks hot, buddy. But they got an upcoming series this weekend with them Bayou Bengals. Mm-hmm.
So, I'd mentioned how hot the bats were. You just mentioned it now. I've read a lot since then about how people are complaining about the pitching, which we just lost. Wasn't Chase Burns our best pitcher? Or he was he went to Vandy or whatever.
Yeah.
I've read a lot of complaints about the pitching. I don't know for certain. I've not watched. It's still basketball season to me with the NBA. But we've got a really good baseball squad. We're number 4. The LSU series is huge. LSU's a great team. They're not ranked, but I was reading Tony V's comments on it, and it's like, it's still too early to tell on a lot of these teams. LSU's a problem always in baseball.
Well, I'll tell you who's not going to be a problem this year is Paul Skeen, the big unit 2.0.
That is true, but they do have this other kid. They've got another mullet. They've got a new mullet. I can't remember his name, but he's still there. It's a big series coming up. It's a big series coming up this weekend for sure. Always good to beat LSU in anything, but especially in baseball where I wouldn't say it's a rivalry by any stretch, but
I don't know. It's since Tennessee's gotten good, I think. But then again,
comparatively speaking, it's we're over here in the East, and you got LSU and Arkansas,
right?
And of course, we're competing with Florida and Vanderbilt, who are always good at baseball. So it's a big series. You want to win this series as baseball fans.
It's almost like you're a dog marking its territory. You want to cock that leg and just say, "Hey, no, the SEC is mine."
Uh-huh.
But still got to go through Vandy, all the other guys you mentioned. Long ways to go, but I think now is where we're kind of getting to the meat of that baseball schedule. We're going to start seeing, pitching is a problem though.
It's time to start. It's time to start watching vault baseball. So Sunday we've got a series starting at 3. It's vault baseball and the Masters. I know you're a NASCAR guy, so it's going to be vault baseball and NASCAR. But it's time to start paying attention to the Basevols.
Yes, absolutely. Well, buddy, I know it's a long drive, but you're welcome at my house anytime.
Mm-hmm. I'll be there.
Well, buddy, let's what do you think about talking some spring football?
You say spring, it's you spring it on me. I didn't even know that the orange and white game was 2 days from now.
Honestly, I'm not even gonna lie. I forgot it was too. I thought it was next weekend. But this time
I forgot it was spring.
The way this weather's been, buddy, I don't blame you. But
the weather has been dog shit here.
It's been terrible.
Yeah.
But they had their last open practice before the orange and white game, which is this upcoming week, but only 10,000 of us can attend because of renovations. So
are they renovating again?
I reckon so, sir.
Huh. Oh, good.
I reckon so. So I'll be at my house Saturday, more than likely watching the game, if I watch it at all. But I probably will. I want to see Nico.
It'll be on my DVR for sure.
One way or the other, we're watching it.
Yeah.
I think that's some content in itself that we need to, give to the listeners, don't you?
I think that we need to this is my April 12th take. Okay. I think we need to temper our expectations a little bit. I don't think we're look.
No,
man,
I'm kind of
I see all these Nico looked great in the bowl game. He looked fantastic. We gotta we can't expect too much. We can't expect too much. I've seen a lot of 12-0 takes.
That's not happening.
Which dumbass ball Twitter. But we're not that good. We're not 12-0 good. I don't know if we're 10-2 good.
I think we are 10-2 good. I earlier this year we done a Citrus Bowl preview and a schedule breakdown in that same episode. And I think I want to say I said 9-3, and I said we would lose to Oklahoma, Georgia, and the third one was to be determined, because we always lose to somebody that we shouldn't. And I'm going to tell you right now, I think Alabama is in that realm this year. Just this year.
Somebody we shouldn't lose to?
Yes, because it's here.
I agree. It's here. They've got a coaching change, and
yes.
I'm not impressed with Alabama. They're not going to be playoff bound Alabama that we're used to at all.
There's a lot of fans.
They're going to be a good team.
Yeah. They're going to be a tough out, but there's going to be a lot of them in for a rude awakening, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait till they sell or dwell, man, because it's coming. I'm sorry, it is. Maybe not with this guy, but I've always said it, though. I've always said it. I don't want to be the guy after Saban. No. I want to be the guy after Saban. Because there's only going to be one way to go but up.
Hopefully this guy can stick around long enough to make that guy's job tougher.
I hope he's the next Shula.
So here's my case on why we're not going to be that good. So playoffs expansion is expanding to 12 teams.
Yes.
I think we're a playoff contender for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though. Can you imagine if we're there, a home playoff game in Neyland Stadium?
I'll be there for sure.
I might have to do some things I'm not proud of, but we'll be there.
That's going to be as electric as it's ever been.
Yes.
In Knoxville. I think that. So I've seen a few mock drafts for we've got the NFL draft coming up. I've seen mock drafts for next year's draft where James Pierce is the number 1 overall pick.
Dude,
he's huge. Having the best pass rusher.
Freakishly good and and could very well possibly be, as long as he don't get hurt this year.
But we don't have a 12-0 roster.
No,
we just don't. Georgia does. Ohio State does. Michigan might still. Alabama has a roster, just roster for roster. Alabama's probably has a better roster than we do.
Alabama has 12-0 talent. I don't think they've got 12-0 coaching.
Maybe not.
We'll find out.
But I think that we need to go ahead and be okay with a 9-3.
I'll be okay with 9-3 because chances are, if you're 9-3, you're making a 12-team playoff
in our conference for sure.
10
But
and 2, you're
that's
clinching.
all I wanted to say about the football program. I think we need to not want to decapitate our coach if we lose 3 games.
I think Heupel's bought enough good faith, dude. He has with me.
He has, yeah.
Yeah,
Certainly.
I mean, so I do want to dive into practice just a little bit. I got a few notes. Sounds
Okay.
like D Samp and Deshaun Bishop, they like to catch. They're doing well catching the ball out of the backfield. I think that could be a big part of the offense with Nico this year. I think it's going to look a lot different this year on offense, man. I really do.
It'll
Nico
certainly look
brings
a lot different than last year.
Well, it will. It will. But Nico, he brings a different element to the game than obviously Joe Milton, but even Hendon Hooker, I feel like.
Yeah.
He can run the ball better than Hendon. He can throw the ball.
Hendon was a good runner now.
He was, but I mean, man, Nico rushed for 3 touchdowns in that Citrus Bowl. Granted, a couple of them were gimmies, but that one dude, he was breaking ankles, son. So, we'll see though. The one thing that I am glad to see though is Thornton. It sounds like him and Nico are getting on the same page, and Thornton's actually finally healthy this year.
He's still around?
Yeah.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Hype seems really excited about this group of wide receivers though. And a guy that I said last year on Up at Noon, Caleb Webb. He's getting a lot of looks on the outside. So I think that this might be the year this might be the year of Webb. We'll see. I hope it is.
We will see. We will see. There's a lot of unknowns with this team. I know Samson's a good player. I know Nico's going to be good. Just it's the O line. It's going to be the D line. It's going to be the secondary. Secondary is going to make a big difference for us.
I worry more about the O line and the secondary. I think the D line is going to be fine. Amari's back. We've got James Pierce Jr. I think I worry more about the O line and then the secondary. The secondary, I've said it before. I don't feel like the secondary was god awful. It was just one of those deals where we've jumped on teams so big. Teams don't have a choice but to throw the ball. So, of course, that's going to hurt your numbers. But they were bad at times. No denying that. That Missouri game last year, they got picked apart. Yeah. Run defense, passing defense, they got picked apart. Georgia destroyed them. So, with the secondary, though, there's only one way they can go, and that's up. Boo Carter.
It's true.
Boo Carter's looking the part, though. Everybody's like, oh, man, Boo, he's going to be my Boo this year. Dude, I hope to God they stick that boy on punt return because he was practicing with the special teams unit earlier in spring. We need a good punt returner. D. Williams is gone. We need a good punt returner.
Yeah.
That could win us a game or two. I mean, it won us a game this year. Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, yeah.
Mike Matthews. Good young guy. Stick him out there.
Yeah, excited about him.
Yes, that's one. Those are the two names that seem to be popping up quite a bit. So we'll see what happens, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to watching the game. Now tomorrow, but I'm gonna watch it.
It'll be on my TV Sunday morning for sure.
Yes, for sure, man. Well, buddy, this has been a good one tonight. You ready to put a bow on it? Call it a night?
Yeah, just a couple things. Kim Caldwell had her opening presser for the Lady Vols Tuesday after we recorded. It was stout.
It was.
She wore the blue blazer. Everybody was pissed off that she was wearing blue. To hell with you.
She was sassy too.
She told John Adams where he could stick it.
Oh, she's right up there for me then.
And to hell with anybody who she apparently said she wouldn't sing Rocky Top.
Ooh.
To hell with you too. Because she was just making a joke about how she couldn't sing. All right. That's all that is. She's going to learn Rocky Top. She's going to sing Rocky Top. It's not an issue. Secondly, I wanted to talk to you about this because you're a big Bears fan, right? Chicago? No, you like the Packers. My bad.
Of course.
So the Bears tweeted this thing out today about Tevin Jenkins, who's one of their players, and they were like, it was just this big, graphic thing with
Of
Tevin
course.
Jenkins coming from Oklahoma State to the Bears. And then there was this background photo of the stadium, of the football stadium, and it was Neyland in the background, not Oklahoma's or Chicago's. It was ours.
Only the
So,
Bears.
go look that up from the official Chicago Bears Twitter account. Go check that out.
You know what? I don't know if you've seen it during the eclipse or not, but I swear to God, I seen something that said the Bears still suck. Written in the stars.
They do, for sure.
I could say so much.
They're gonna get Caleb Williams, who's apparently the best prospect since Peyton Manning. I don't see it. I watched USC last year. I don't think
You see the look on my face right now.
I don't think he's that special. He might be the best quarterback in this draft, but he's not that
Paints
good.
his fingernails, man.
He's not.
They're not clear coat.
I saw a list of quarterbacks he was rated higher than since 2000, and it was literally everybody except for one who I love, Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck's the best quarterback of all time, and I'll hear no arguments.
Oh, so you're going to die on that hill?
Yep,
my man. Good for you. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I'll die on the hill that Joe Milton was good. Hey.
We'll have to hit that another time, bud.
That's what she said. All right, man. Well, tonight was a good one. Let's call it a night, but let's end it how we always end it. Go damn Vols.
Go Vols.